Okay, you guys, welcome back to my channel, Behind the Screen. So, if you saw my video a couple weeks ago about the woman who got caught up with a serial dater, you know that was a whole mess, but trust me, today's story makes that one look tame, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna link that one, make sure you check it out. Okay, so imagine this, you go on a date with somebody that you don't know, you end up getting pregnant on the very first date. It's scary, but he's all in, he's very supportive, acting like he's ready to step up until he ghosts you. And then you go on to find out that he's been getting multiple women pregnant at the same time. This is a next level type of insane story that I found on TikTok, and I'm going to be giving you all the details of it, so buckle up and get ready for that. But before you do, make sure you are subscribed and that you hit the like button so that more people can see this video. Okay, so a creator named Abby on TikTok posted a video with the caption, "When the father of your child who ghosts you at 14 weeks then knocks up 6 other women in Dallas, threatened lawsuits and NDAs, has silenced every time someone speaks up on it, sells his house, deletes social media, and flees back to Utah like nothing happened, then pops up trying to become an influencer. Story time to come. I'm done staying quiet. Tanner, Nathan, Hale, you won't hurt any more women and abandon more innocent children." So that video that Abby posted completely blew up. She wasn't a big creator on TikTok, but it really reached a lot of people. And after a few days, she posted another video just quickly showing a bunch of receipts that she had to make her story credible before she posted her part 1. And the man that she's talking about, Tanner, he I guess, tried to become an influencer in social media in the golf space, and it worked for him apparently. He has nearly 100,000 followers on Instagram. But anyway, recently Abby posted her part 1, 2, 3, I think 3 parts so far. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I usually will summarize some of the videos and then show you different clips so that I'm not showing you 40 minutes worth of clips. So just know going into that, that's what I'm doing, but I'll link her TikTok in case if you want to go and watch every single video from start to finish. So Abby talks about how this video is for women living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Scottsdale, Arizona, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Lehi, Utah, and Salt Lake City, and then Kauai, Hawaii, and Princeville, Hawaii. She talks about how she met Tanner in December of 2023. She met him on a dating app called Raya, which I guess it's a dating app that you have to apply to get into, so it makes it all more legitimate. But she had just gotten out of a long-term serious relationship. Her friend had her get on the app. She connected with Tanner. They went on a date. She said that there were no sparks that were flying, but they did go home together. She said that they hung out one other time after the initial hookup, but it did not go well because she didn't want to be physical with him again. So he left but continued texting her, asking if something was wrong. And long story short, Abby ended up realizing very quickly after that initial first date that she was pregnant, but she wasn't 100% sure that the baby was Tanner's because, again, she had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. And for the sake of time, leaving out some of the details, long story short, they ended up doing a paternity test while she was pregnant, and the baby was in fact Tanner's, and he was really excited about it, really supportive, saying he was going to step up. He was excited to have more kids because he had 2 kids from a previous marriage. He had 2 girls actually, and so he was really hoping to have a boy.
Paternity test done. Came back, yes, it was his. And then he responds with, "Let's get this party started." So he knew, I knew, and then we were on track in my apartment when we were like, okay, we're doing this is happening. I was crying because I was scared. He was crying and was like, nervous about telling his parents. And he was like, "I just need you there with me." And I was like, "Oh, of course, I would go with you." We were talking about flying to Hawaii to go tell them. So still acting like he's going to be a very present dad, very present in life. Aside from that, he was completely leading me towards as if we were heading towards a relationship, definitely dating. I did confront him, I think twice. I was like, "Are you sleeping with other people?" And which I reiterated. I said, "That is okay. Do what you want. I'm not your girlfriend. You are not my boyfriend. But if you are, I have to draw a line. And that's just where my boundary has to be." And he lied, and he said that he wasn't. And so that talk happened twice. Communication got really iffy, and I called him out, and I was like, "I feel like you're leading me on." And then, of course, after that, he reeled me back in. When I did call him out, he picked me up. We went to go to get smoothies, and then it was like we never really had a conversation. He just kind of reeled me in, and then I spent like 3 days straight at his house. And he was saying more like long-term comments about being together, blah, blah, blah. And then literally right after, it was like 2 days later after he dropped me off, I was like, I had this gut feeling of just like, something doesn't feel right, something's off. His communication, again, got just weird. And the whole, him like turning things around on me. 2 times where we were supposed to meet for lunch, talk about things, and then it would come, basically would hear nothing. And I'd find out he was like 2 hours away working, and then he would always be like, you need to understand, like, if I'm not working, I support my ex-wife and my kids 100%. So if I don't work, I could be put in jail. All these lies, and would always turn around on me, how I wasn't supportive enough, how I need to be more understanding. Pregnancy hormones are just too much, blah, blah, blah. And then other times when it was the first appointment he was going to join me at, I tell him when, where, all the things, the time comes, and I find out he's in Oklahoma City. Again, turns out I wasn't supportive enough and I wasn't understanding enough. So I called him out again, and that's when he called me, and over the phone, because he's really smart and knows not to do it for legal reasons.
So there were definitely a lot of red flags going on with Tanner, but being that he was so supportive initially, I feel like that probably took some pressure off of Abby's shoulders, being newly pregnant, single, all the things, but just knowing that the father of the child was supportive. I feel like that probably eased Abby's mind a little bit, but things escalated very quickly and very early into the pregnancy.
But over the phone, he admits to being a cocaine addict, an alcoholic, and sleeping with other women. So everything that I knew prior was a lie. Also, that means that, because he also admitted that I've never seen him sober. So it means every time he was driving me, which he drove me a lot because I didn't like to drive, he was high. And so that part still kind of like just kind of hurts, because it just proved like he didn't value my life at all. And he didn't value our unborn child's life. So he drops that bomb. That was the last thing I was expecting. And so I was having trouble eating and sleeping for the next 3 days. I ended up passing out in the hallway of my apartment complex, and my neighbor Joanne found me, went to the hospital. And I didn't tell him until later on. We were on a call, and he was like, because and again, I had to like get him on a call to like talk through things, or like what's going on, basically. On the call, it was like I was keeping him the entire time from packing from Scottsdale. It wasn't worth the drive to come to the hospital to see how the mother of his child was doing, or his child. And of course, he turned it around on me again. He said, because I didn't tell him right away, and he was like, where are you? I was like, at the hospital, I passed out. And I didn't even say, hey, it's because I couldn't eat or sleep, because I just felt like my world was rocked. I just basically told him I passed out. I kind of left that out because I didn't want him to feel bad. And he was like, I just don't feel like you want me involved. And I'm like, it's still the same day I'm telling you. I'm not telling you like days after. I'm telling you right now. And I'm also like, you've obviously just proven like everything was a lie. I didn't know how involved you want to be also. And so we talked for a little bit, and he's like, I'll call you back. I gotta get off the phone, something. Never called me back. I text him later that night, basically again pleading, and I'm like, I think we could be great co-parents. Like, I do believe this child needs a father figure in his life. And basically just send him a text, and I'll even edit what I sent. He responded and did apologize for not always having as much empathy, because he also blamed my pregnancy hormones again on the phone, and saying I was strong-arming him, and that was a red flag to him, and all these things. I respond, and I'm like, it's okay, or something like that. And then he sends me a message, and is like, I hope you're doing well, I was thinking about you all night, something like that. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. And I said, thank you, we're good, had a little procedure done, we're in the clear, or something like that. And then he texts me a picture of a palm tree, and is like, greetings from Scottsdale. And then I don't hear from him for days. And this was after he was like, I just need to think about like what I want or something. And again, those couple days, it was just hard for me to kind of like function with this middle ground that he was putting me in, not giving me answers, but confusing me, and then figuring out every single thing was a lie. And so I sent him a text. I was like, I guess you're making me choose for you. Work, drugs, and money are not gonna, because he kept saying he was fighting demons and aren't helping you fight your demons. Like, they'll never be the answer in what you're looking for. And he never responded. And then I see him out on the road. He cuts me off. And so I texted him again. I was like, hey, I just saw you. Do we need to get lawyers involved with this? Are we gonna chat? Like, what's going on? Didn't respond, and we didn't talk for 8+ months. No, I never text him again. I don't follow up. It was like 2 weeks later, I contact someone that ran a background check. It came back, all his business lawsuits, his domestic violence charge, his child endangerment charge, and I just was like, I'm sorry, what? Zero idea, zero clue. He did tell me about like some of the business lawsuits, but he never told me about the child endangerment charge or the domestic violence charge. And that there was a time in between meeting him and then us like connecting when I told him I was pregnant that I like didn't hear from him for like a week or so. And I found out he was or supposed to be serving time in jail or something like that. I'll post the message of what the person said. And the person that I know works for the government, so very trustworthy. So I found that out. So after finding that out, I go on with my pregnancy. It wasn't the smoothest. It was kind of rough and sad at some points because I wanted to enjoy it so much more. And you always think that you're sharing these these super special moments with a partner, and it was just me.
So, after all of those insane bombshells, Abby quietly had her baby. She did not tell Tanner that she was going into the hospital. She didn't say that he couldn't come, but she just didn't tell him about it. At that point, they weren't really speaking, and she talked about how she had just kind of hoped that he was seeking help at that point, and that's why maybe she wasn't hearing from him. She just wasn't really sure. But that was not the case at all. A thought popped into Abby's mind that she should check out the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook page for Dallas, and after doing some digging and posting some stuff, somebody messaged her and said, "Are you talking about Tanner?" And at that point, Abby had a conversation with the woman on the phone, and that was, I believe, part 2 of the video, and she ends it saying that basically that phone call is whenever everything blew up. Like, you thought it had blown up before. No, it was at this point, she said, all hell broke loose.
Okay, on to why I'm actually recording this. And I can't remember exactly how the conversation went because it was in October. So much has happened and so traumatized. But we get on the phone and she, I think, was like, "Are you one of the pregnant girls that we're looking for? Or we're looking for a girl that Tanner knocked up," something like that, I think. And I was like, "No, but I'm holding his 8-week-old son, like, in my arms." And she was shocked and then revealed that she was pregnant. I don't know how far along, at least 7 weeks, I know for sure, pretty sure, but pretty far along, enough to know. And it was like, yeah, he also got this girl pregnant, and this girl, and this girl. And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" So then we were on the phone, I think, for like 4 to 6 hours, and I was relaying my entire experience with him. She was telling me the gist of what she was finding out, because while he was taking one girl to get an abortion in a different state, he was trying to hook up with someone else, having conversations about knocking her up, wanting to have her kids. And I have proof of this, and the text messages are coming. And all of that is happening. And she's telling me all these stories, and I'm just flashing back to, you told me that you need to get your head on straight where you have more kids in this world. You are saying how you need to work to get out of this hole. Yet everything I'm finding out after the fact is you are just spreading your seed willy-nilly. And my mind is just blown because I'm like, how many half siblings is my son going to have? And what if I never posted anything? And what's even crazier is when I went back and looked a couple days later, I found old posts about him. So I'm like, why didn't they pop up before? Like, it's weird how things work out. Super weird. I don't understand, but I promise you, when I searched, nothing came up. And then I searched afterwards, not my post, and then so many things came up. So I'm like, I'm sorry, what? So I get in contact with her, and then she loops me in a group message, and then we just all start sharing with 2 other girls. So it's 4 of us total. So then we start sharing all the overlapping timelines of what we know, and then other women. And we're counting upwards of, like, he's dating full on like 20 women at once. I don't know why that's just blurred so weird. Like, every person thinks they're in like a pretty good relationship with this man. It, like, his phone needs to be studied by the Smithsonian, how he juggled so many women. I kind of know, actually, because he accidentally sent me, or I don't think he realized, he sent me a screenshot of my contact information when we got in contact down the road. And again, my city is next to my name, and my name is spelled wrong. I'm like, okay, cool. But also, I'm flashing back to, I'm finding out when he was sending me onesies on the way to Broken Bow, he's like hooking up and doing drugs that entire weekend, while I spent 3 days in a row at his house laying next to him in his bed. He's texting 2 other women separately to come over. All of these things. And I'm just like, we start overlapping timelines, and it is unreal. And aside from that, there's this one specific moment I remember. He is heading to my apartment and texting me that he was at a work dinner and he was on a date with a girl at like Uchi or something like that, and comes over to my apartment. No, like, I'm very much pregnant, and just everything I knew was an absolute bold face. So then I catch them up with everything also that's going on with my son and like the NICU and the hospital, and we're having these problems and not knowing what the answer is. And so I'm like, guys, do I reach out for a medical history? Like, I haven't talked to Tanner in months. Like, since February. And they've been in contact with him off and on. I don't know yet if I should share their stuff or whatever, so I'm going to just leave that out. But I end up texting him, asking for a medical history, and this is after he gets wind that we've all kind of met. He doesn't know about me knowing them yet, but he knows the other women have all found each other. I text him for medical history, and I get the world's, I think, in my opinion, after knowing you have a son that's born, worst answer ever. Zero help.
So that's where we are now with things. Abby says that she has a part 4 coming where she is going to be talking about the conversations that she had with Tanner's dad, sister, and mom. And I'm very curious about those conversations. Like we talked about a little bit, Tanner is a Mormon. He's been on missions. His family has a lot of pulls and ties to the Mormon church, and they've done a pretty good job, you could say, of sweeping Tanner's transgressions under the rug. Something else that Abby will be talking about in the next video is Tanner having a fetish for reproducing and how she has proof of that. So also will be very interesting to hear about that. The story is very ongoing, as you can see, and Tanner has turned all of his comments off on his golf Instagram page. He hasn't even posted since she started sharing her story. Her life has been completely turned upside down by this man. From my understanding, he has not paid her a dime. She is struggling financially and in a lot of areas of her life, and I really feel for her. She stepped up and is raising her son, and I feel like a big part of that decision was because Tanner was so on board with it, so supportive, saying he was going to be there and step up. So probably in Abby's mind, she thought, I don't know if I'm going to be romantically involved with this man, but at least I know I'm going to have a good co-parenting relationship. I'm not going to be going in this alone. Here she is, completely alone, and her life is being torn apart. I hope that her sharing her story makes it so that Tanner has to take accountability for his actions for her and for all the other women that he has done this to, as well as all of the children that he's abandoning. It's one thing had he in the beginning been upfront and said, look, do what you want to do, but I want no part of this. But that's not what he said. He said, I do want to be a part of this. I want to step up. I want a baby. I want a son. I want more kids. But in the meantime, what do you think of all of this? In that one video that I talked about, the serial dater, I thought that was bad enough, but to go out there and purposely try to get as many women pregnant as you can just to up and leave the woman is truly diabolical. And that his parents, from my understanding, are just sweeping this all under the rug is sick, and they should be ashamed, especially being that his parents come from the Mormon church, who is all about upholding certain values. Now, I don't know a ton about Mormonism, truth be told, except that they just really seem to like their family vlogging, but some of their principles that they live by are virtue, honesty, commitment to your family, and here Tanner is being completely dishonest, no virtue whatsoever, and abandoning his own children. And as far as his parents go, yeah, it's not them, they're not Tanner, but they know about this and they're sweeping it under the rug, so shame on them too. But that's gonna be it for today's video. Let me know if you guys want part 2 whenever Abby drops the, part 4, and if she does a part 5, let me know if you guys want me to do updates on it. I definitely will. I have seen a lot of support for Abby, and that's great to see. I hope that, like I said, sharing all of this stuff, I hope that she gets what's owed to her, as well as the other women involved. And I really give her credit for stepping up to the plate and being a great mother for her child. She doesn't even post her kid on social media. She'll put a sticker over his face, I saw. So again, more credit to her. I love that she is keeping her kid offline, but she is sharing her story not only to hopefully, I'm sure, get some type of justice, but also to warn other women in all of these other areas. Like I said, there's more parts coming, but she was talking about Hawaii, Texas, Utah, Oklahoma. So he's clearly doing what that one guy did, Brett, in my other video. But Brett wasn't impregnating women. I mean, what he was doing wasn't right, but he wasn't out there trying to get them all pregnant. So women need to know. Clearly, Tanner has a way with the women, so the more that know about him and his ways, the better. So that's going to be it for now, at least until part 2. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in my next video.